So, what's the real difference between a good trader and an elite one? It's not some secret strategy they're hiding. We've boiled down the key lessons from a really deep conversation with 3 verified 7- and 8-figure traders. And the answer? Well, it comes down to a few powerful mental shifts. Let's break down their path to success.
First things first, let's just ground this in reality. This isn't some hypothetical number I pulled out of thin air. This is $4.5 million, and that's the prop firm payout for just one of the traders we're learning from today, Kyle, who you might know as JCap. This is what years of discipline actually looks like.
So how do you get results like that? The answer isn't a secret indicator or some magic algorithm. As you're about to see, it's all about building a very specific, almost bulletproof mindset. And we're here to unpack that exact psychological framework for you.
And that brings us to the very first critical question that every single trader has to face. Honestly, it's a question that can make or break your entire career before it even gets off the ground. Where and how do you actually start?
This first major hurdle, it's all about your capital and the habits you build from day one. The path you pick right at the beginning really sets the tone for your whole journey. And, our experts had 2 very different takes on the right way to do it.
So this gets us to a really core debate in trading. On one side, you've got prop firms, right? Where you trade their capital for a fee and get a cut of the profits. Trader Kane says this path is just logical. It gives you access to a ton of capital and it caps your personal risk. But then you have Umar Ashraf, and he pushes back hard, warning that for new traders, it can build these terrible gambling habits. His advice? Start with a small live account so you can purely focus on developing the skill without all these arbitrary rules getting in the way.
And then Kyle, the guy with the $4.5 million payout, he kind of settles the debate. He says he traded for a full decade before he even touched a prop firm. So here's the real takeaway. Whether you choose a prop firm or a live account, it doesn't matter one bit if you don't have a proven edge first.
Okay, so that leads us to the next logical step. What in the world is an edge? It's probably one of the most overused and misunderstood words in all of trading, and the pros make it crystal clear that it's so much more than just a profitable entry signal.
See, your edge isn't just your strategy, it's the whole package. It's your discipline, your risk management, and how you execute when you're under pressure. And it's built not just from staring at screens, but from the real work, like journaling every single trade, backtesting your ideas, and really digging into your own psychological triggers.
These right here, these are the real pillars of an edge that lasts. Being able to control your emotions, manage your risk properly, take a loss without spiraling, knowing when to just sit on your hands and do nothing, and of course, executing flawlessly when the pressure's on. These are skills that are forged in the fire of the market. You can't just learn them from a book.
And ultimately, every single one of those components, they're all built through one thing and one thing only: experience. It's about putting in the reps, day after day, year after year. There are just no shortcuts.
This quote from Umar is just so incredibly powerful. Think about it. For 7 or 8 years, he was making money, and he still worried if it was just a fluke, if it was just luck. That's the staggering amount of experience it takes to build that unshakable confidence in your edge. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Which brings us to what is, without a doubt, the absolute core of elite trading: winning the internal mental battle. All 3 traders we talked to agreed on this. This is where the real war is fought and won. Let me tell you a story about what happens when your psychology fails you. Early in his career, Umar put over $200,000, that's nearly half his account, into a single trade. His entire thesis was based on how much money he could make, with absolutely zero thought given to the downside. The company went bankrupt. Overnight, he lost everything. It's just a brutal lesson in how greed and ego can absolutely destroy you.
And this kind of destructive outcome, it usually follows a really predictable pattern. We call it the burnout cycle. You have a great run, you hit a hot streak, and your ego just inflates. You feel invincible, like some kind of trading god, and that's when you start to bend your rules. And then, bam, the market humbles you. The pro tip here, you have to recognize that feeling of invincibility and just step away. Take a break before you give it all back.
Okay, so let's say you've mastered your start, you've found your edge, and you've learned to manage your mind. What's left? What's the final layer that separates the truly great traders from the legends?
Well, this skill is called dynamic sizing. In simple terms, it's the ability to press your bets, to risk more when you're trading really well and the market is super clear, and then to pull back your risk when you're in a drawdown. It's how the pros have these explosive months that can literally make their entire year.
But, and this is a huge but, here comes the warning. Kyle says this was the absolute last skill he truly mastered. For a developing trader, trying to dynamically size is, in his own words, a recipe for disaster. You have to earn the right to use this tool, and you earn it through years of consistent performance. But even mastering a skill like dynamic sizing is impossible without an even bigger, more fundamental shift. The final secret isn't a technique. It's not something you can just learn. It's a profound change in your entire mindset. Here it is. As Trader Kane puts it, having that non-attachment to money in trading is actually part of my edge. Just think about that for a second. When you can enter a trade having already fully accepted the loss, when the dollar amount doesn't trigger that fear or greed in your gut, that's when you can finally make perfectly objective, process-driven decisions. You're no longer trading money, you're just executing your system.
So that leaves us with this final, kind of paradoxical thought. We all get into trading to make money, right? But what if the real key to making more of it is actually learning to care less about it? What if true freedom in the markets comes not from chasing the profits, but from detaching from them completely?